I was trapped in a snowstorm with my strict boss, and one night changed everything. Snowflake red, the wind howled like something alive, slamming against the car as the road disappeared beneath a blinding sheet of snow. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't just stuck in a storm. I was trapped with the one person who terrified me the most, my strict, unapproachable boss. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that can change hearts, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. You never know whose life a simple story might touch. The trip was supposed to be simple. A quick business visit to a remote client, a few hours of meetings, and then back to the city. But the weather had other plans. The storm rolled in faster than expected, swallowing the sky in gray and turning the road into a frozen blur. My boss insisted we could make it through. He was always like that, cold, calculated, never wrong, or at least that's what everyone believed. But then the engine sputtered, the car jerked once, twice, and died. Silence fell except for the storm raging outside. We were stranded in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by endless white and biting cold. No signal, no passing cars, just us. I remember clutching my coat tighter, trying to hide the panic creeping up my chest. Being stuck in a snowstorm was terrifying enough, but being stuck with him made it worse. He was known for his strict rules, his distant attitude, and the way he made people feel small with just a glance. I had spent months trying to impress him, always failing, always feeling invisible. But now there was no office, no desks, no title, just two people trying to survive. Hours passed and the temperature kept dropping. The heater had stopped working and the cold began to seep into our bones. My hands trembled and my breath came out in visible clouds. I tried to stay strong, but fear has a way of breaking you down slowly, silently. That's when something unexpected happened. He took off his gloves and handed them to me. I hesitated at first, confused. This wasn't the man I knew. This wasn't the boss who barely acknowledged my existence. But his eyes, just for a second, softened. I took the gloves. That small moment changed something. As night fell, the storm grew worse. The darkness wrapped around us, making everything feel even more isolated. We realized staying in the car wasn't safe anymore. Through the heavy snowfall, we spotted a faint outline, a small cabin not too far away. It felt like our only chance. We walked through knee-deep snow, each step heavier than the last. The wind pushed against us, trying to knock us down. I slipped more than once, my strength fading, but every time I stumbled, he was there, steadying me. Not as a boss, but as someone who refused to let me fall. We reached the cabin barely. Inside, it was cold but sheltered. There was old furniture, a fireplace, and just enough wood to keep us alive for the night. He worked quickly, starting a fire, his movements calm and focused. I watched him, realizing I had never truly seen him before, not like this. The fire crackled to life, filling the room with warmth and a soft glow. For the first time since the storm began, I felt safe, but something else began to change too. The silence between us was no longer uncomfortable, it was human. As the hours passed, the walls we had built around ourselves began to crumble, not through words but through presence, through shared fear, through quiet understanding. I noticed the way he stared into the fire, lost in thought. The way his shoulders, once always tense, seemed to relax just a little. There was a weight in his eyes, something deeper than strictness or authority, something broken. And somehow I understood. The night stretched on and exhaustion pulled at us. At one point I must have drifted off because when I woke up I found his coat draped over me. He was sitting nearby, awake, making sure the fire didn't die. No one had ever done something like that for me before. And in that quiet moment, everything I thought I knew about him shattered. He wasn't cold, he was guarded, he wasn't distant, he was hurting. The storm outside eventually softened, but something inside us had already changed forever. By morning, the sky had cleared just enough for help to arrive. Rescue came just as quietly as the storm had taken us. We returned to our lives, to the office, to the same routines, but nothing felt the same. He wasn't the same man anymore, or maybe he never was. There was a new softness in the way he spoke, a quiet respect, a silent understanding that didn't need to be explained. And I was no longer afraid of him, because sometimes it takes being stripped of everything, comfort, control, certainty, to see people for who they truly are. And sometimes, the coldest storms reveal the warmest hearts. Before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Comment below and tell me. Have you ever misjudged someone, only to realize later they were completely different than you thought, as days turned into weeks? That one night stayed with me. Not because of the fear or the storm, but because of what it revealed. About him. About myself. About how easily we build walls and how powerful it is when they finally fall. And if this story touched your heart even a little, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Because stories like this remind us that behind every cold exterior, there might be a story waiting to be understood, and maybe, just maybe, one moment of kindness can change everything. Snowflake Red.